I am Audrey, and welcome to my channel, The Backstory. On this channel, you will find out exactly what happened before each Sunday school lesson. The Sunday school lesson for October the 9th, 2022 is entitled Obedience in Building the Tabernacle. The lesson text comes from Exodus chapter 40, verses 16 through 21, verses 29 through 30, verse 34, and verse 38. At this point, here is the agenda. I will share the backstory, read the lesson text, and offer a brief summary. Also, please give me a thumbs up if you find this video is of any value to you. The backstory. Let's begin. How to arrange furniture within the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 40, verses 1 through 5. Then the Lord said to Moses, Set up the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, on the first day of the first month. Place the ark of the covenant law in it, and shield the ark with the curtain. Bring in the table, and set out what belongs on it. Then bring in the lampstand, and set up its lamps. Place the gold altar of incense in front of the ark of the covenant law, and put the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. How to arrange items in the courtyard. Exodus chapter 40, verses 6 through 11. Place the altar of burnt offering in front of the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. Place the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar and put water in it. Set up the courtyard around it and put the curtain at the entrance to the courtyard. Take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and everything in it. Consecrate it and all its furnishings, and it will be holy. Then anoint the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils. Consecrate the altar, and it will be most holy. Anoint the basin and its stand, and consecrate them. Anointing Aaron and his sons as priests. Exodus chapter 40, verses 12 through 15. Bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance to the tent of meeting and wash them with water. Then dress Aaron in the sacred garments, anoint him and consecrate him so he may serve me as priest. Bring his sons and dress them in tunics. Anoint them just as you anointed their father, so they may serve me as priests. Their anointing will be to a priesthood that will continue throughout their generations. This is a reasonable facsimile of the interior of the tabernacle in the wilderness that Moses built. Obedience in building the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 40, verses 16 through 21, verses 29 through 30, verse 34, and verse 38. Golden text. Thus did Moses, according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. Exodus chapter 40, verses 16 through 17. Verse 16. Thus did Moses, according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. Verse 17. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. Verse 18. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. Verse 19. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it, as the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 20. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. Verse 21. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 29. And he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 30. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. Verse 34. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Verse 38. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys. A brief summary. Moses complied with God's instructions fully. In addition to placing all of the furnishings and accessories properly, Moses set out the bread on the table before the Lord and lit the lamps on the lampstand. He burned fragrant incense on the gold altar. He offered the prescribed offerings on the altar of burnt offering and put water in the basin. As soon as Moses finished the work, the cloud that had guided the Israelites through the wilderness covered the tabernacle. At the same time, the glory of the Lord, appearing as a brilliant light, filled the interior of the tabernacle. Both manifestations signified God's approval of the work that was done in constructing the tabernacle, as well as his willingness to dwell among the people of Israel. Moses, it seemed, would have re-entered the tabernacle, but he could not because of the brilliance of God's glory. The concluding verses of Exodus tell how God guided the Israelites as they traveled through the wilderness. The cloud showed them not only where to go, but when to go. It was over the tabernacle by day, and at night the cloud was replaced by fire. In the cloud and fire hovering over the tabernacle, the Israelites had a visible, awe-inspiring symbol of God's presence in their midst. No one could deny it. All they could do was follow it. The Lord was on a journey with his people, and his people were on a journey with him. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And above all else, join me soon for the next backstory.